Hi folks, how you all doing? Today I want to show you this. It's one of my iPad sketches done in Procreate. Not my best one ever. This is the 30-second kind of speed up clip, the quick version. But as you can see, it's getting better as we go along. And I've got some kind of things that didn't go well and things that did go well. But as I get towards the end here, I'm actually really happy with it, especially the lighting effects. So this is the slower version now. And this sketch actually took a lot longer than I wanted to take on it. So this is the speed paint version. Overall, this video is just coming up to about half an hour. But yeah, it took me longer, obviously, in real time. It should have been shorter, but I had a couple of speed bumps. Now, I try never to walk away from any drawing or any sketch and leave that sat on my iPad or any tablet or computer. I don't like to. Now, to me, the iPad is a great device for just doing random sketches on. Even if I'm not working on a commission, I like to sketch and draw daily if possible, just to enhance my own skills as a digital artist. And quite often when I'm doing these kind of workout sketches, it's great because I'm not doing commissions where I'm told what to draw, but I'll just draw from reference images I found on Google, or I'll just draw from my imagination. Now this was just from my imagination, and I just started drawing, and it's one of those things where you draw and you say to yourself, let's just see where it goes. So I'll start making some marks on the canvas and just see where it goes. And I did. I didn't have anything in mind when I started, and it just went like this. And in a way, it makes it kind of harder because you don't have any expectations in mind. You don't know where it's going to go. You just start drawing. And a lot of the time when I do that, I do portraits, faces, either face on, which is in a way a little harder because you have to get the symmetry right, and it never works out, so you purposely make it a bit squinty. Or you do it kind of 3/4 on. You do these things to challenge yourself as well. So when you do a paid portrait for a commission, your skills are a bit more there. And like I've said in other videos, one thing I do is I try and change my styles up. So just to try and find new ways of working. I might draw with lines, or I might draw color, blocking it in with colors or tonal values, or sometimes I'll hear other artists talking about the ways that they work, and I'll give that a go, just to see if I like it better than the way I work. I'll also try drawing things I've never drawn before, or things that I'm not used to drawing, just in case it ever crops up in a commission, or just because I want to push myself as an artist, like I say. Oh look, she's bald at the minute. Well, she hasn't got the top of her head. Let's say she's been sculpted. So, yes, this one didn't go as well as it should have done, at least at the start. I was happy with how it actually came out because I did stick to my guns. Now, I could have walked away from this kind of at least twice, maybe not more so, but yes. In the end, I was happy with this, and the major reason I will put that down to is about 3/4 of the way through this, I decided to add a lighting effect. And yes, that lighting effect, I will say, really, in my mind, saved this. Now, a lighting effect is normally something you would have a reference image for. But over the years, I've done a lot of study with lighting effects. So I've been fortunate enough to bring that back. And I've only done the studies of lighting because I've done a lot of daily drawings. So in a way, the daily drawing that I'm doing now was saved by other daily drawings that I've done in the past. Now, one of the things here that is really messed up is that mouth. And you can see that. And it's funny because I don't normally mess up the mouths like that. And how could I not have seen that so early on? Yeah. But this drawing wasn't just done in one day. This was done over the course of about 3 or 4 days, just dipping in and out of it for kind of like 10 minutes here and 10 minutes there. So, yeah, luckily enough for me, I've got that ability to kind of draw for 10 minutes, put it down, pick it up the next day, look at it and go, oh, that's what's really wrong with it. And that's the great thing about drawing, is that if you just keep hammering it and hammering it and hammering it, you're kind of too close to the image to see what's wrong with it. But if you put it down, leave it, and come back to it the next day, you can see everything that's wrong with it. And also you can see everything that's really nice in there. You can appreciate everything that's great inside the image as well. It really does make you savour the great work that you've done, as well as the atrocious things that need, fixing. But yeah, I really like this piece. There is something in the mouth it's kind of slanted and nice. It's just really the wrong size. See, there is a kind of character behind this face at this point that's nice. There's something there, and I think that's why I didn't go around changing it too much at this point. There's a slantiness, the mouth is slightly to one side, she looks like she's in the middle of shouting something, she's saying something, and there was an element there that I wanted to save and I didn't want to change, and there was personality, and that had come from my imagination rather than a reference image, something like that. And that's what I wanted to attempt to keep, and I didn't want to flatten out. And in this beginning, I liked it. But when I viewed it the next day, what I thought I had, I didn't have. And it's so strange that can happen. But there you go, that's what it is. Now, the tonal range on her face works quite well given her hair colour as well. But we've got a very white background and not a lot is going on there. Now, if you compare that to the final image, she is a very, very different person. You can see that this being Procreate, I am actually changing my brushes. If you look at some of the later videos that I've done in Procreate, now it's hard for you to tell because I'm uploading them in totally random orders, but in some of the other Procreate videos, I don't change my brushes at all. I've given up completely on Procreate brushes. I know it's got lots of different brushes. I don't like chopping and changing brushes, and to be honest, in most of the other art applications I use, I don't go chopping and changing brushes. I tend to stick to 1 or 2 brushes unless it's particular detail things I need, but I tend to just zoom in close and draw the detail I need rather than relying on brushes. I'm sorry, I really dislike using basically they're pattern brushes. I don't like them. But here you go, this is me, now that I've added in some overall colour, but this is me attempting to fix that mouth. And while I do fix it here by, altering those layers, and I find this layer tool in Procreate to be the most awkward thing ever. If really they wanted to use a decent editing tool, really, please, Procreate, just copy Photoshop's adjustment tool. Please, the Procreate one is so weird to use. Photoshop's adjustment tool has been around for kind of 30 years now. You've no real need to kind of make up your own thing that nobody else can work out. But yeah, I kind of did fix her mouth, and it does work, but at the same time I think maybe I lost a bit of the personality. And it took me a while to kind of give her the personality back. Her face, her eyes now kind of stare into nothingness. You can kind of see that now. The mouth proportions are correct, but yeah, it's just not the same. It's funny how changing the mouth makes the eyes not look as not look as full of personality as they did before. But that's what happens when you try to work through these kind of differences in a portrait. But also, on the other hand, this isn't a real person. This is just somebody, a collection of facial features. But as an artist, when you're working on a piece like this, you start to imagine this imaginary person as a real person with a personality, with a history, with a backstory. Or at least I do. Maybe I'm a bit weird. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Is it just me? Do you do the same? Yeah, I mean, I think I'm a bit like a games designer in that respect, that I or a storyteller, or somebody who works in a concept designer who works in films, something like that, where I tend to give people an entire history when I'm just working on a random image, But yes, like I said, working on this, the purples are really bringing out the oranges. So there's the use of colour theory as well coming into this. Now, having been to college and university, colour theory is second nature to me. A lot of people will tell you college and university don't matter. And yes, there is a lot of truth in that, I'd say. But if you are going to go or you are not going to go, I think either way, I would still do a heck of a lot of research online about colour theory. I know people who have been to higher education and still know nothing about colour theory, or still don't understand it fully. In my belief, I think a lot of it is gut instinct, because the workings of colour theory, a lot of it still goes against the grain. A lot of great colour combinations still fly against the grain of, the kind of mathematics of colour theory. So a lot of it's, trusting your gut. See, here's something else I did wrong. I kind of gave her a tan, gave her this flat orange face. I decided this was the start of me thinking, right, well, I'm gonna do this lighting effect. I started thinking about this now, and I'm looking at my timeline, this is the halfway point. I started thinking, right, I'm gonna do this lighting effect. This is how I'm gonna save the image. So I gave her this overall bronzing effect. And I thought adding more shadow into the image, so later on in a bit I can add this lighting. I'm also going to need to reshape the mouth on the corners here, as you can see me doing, to get rid of the pointy effect, because you don't have that pointy effect when your mouth is open that wide. But for right now, because I've not added enough shadow and I've not added enough highlights, her face just looks this weird orange California tan colour. So stick with me while I make this look good, because it looks very bizarre. I am sorry about that. But while I'm working on this as well, I thought to myself, yeah, let's get rid of those white teeth, because I've made her face overall a little darker. I decided her face actually doesn't look so straight on anymore. So I decided, let's make her mouth not so straight on. We can actually tweak it a little bit. Maybe her nose as well, so she's not 100% facing the. I still like to say facing the camera, even though obviously there's no camera. So yeah, I'm altering this mouth takes a lot longer in this speed paint than I really wanted it to take, and I can only apologise for that. But at the same time, I guess this makes it a tutorial in how to save a painting, which I didn't intend to do, but at the same time, if you're watching tutorials, then it becomes something that I guess you might want to learn. There's nothing, I mean, everybody watches great tutorials about how to make a great painting, but are there any tutorials about how to rescue a painting from basically sucking? Yeah, how to avoid a car crash. This is one thing that I do quite often as well, is that I draw the details of the eyes and other features, but then I kind of wash them out because they need to be washed out because you don't want them standing out too much. And then later on I'll go and redraw the details back in because they're too washed out. You know, you just go in and retouch a few details again. And they do look a lot better. But the amount of times I redraw and retouch eyes in a painting, especially a commission, is probably about 10 or 12 times. So on a sketch, it's not that unusual that I do it about 2 or 3. So yeah, if you see that in my YouTube drawings, yeah, 2 or 3 times for just retouching highlights and lowlights on a set of eyes is nothing. So here's me trying to figure out the shadows on the forehead, and what I want to do here is actually make her face look more angry, because basically her mouth is open and she is angry. She is kind of shouting something. Maybe it's better to have her looking like she has some kind of emotion rather than just being, I got my mouth open. I figure, why not? And also to age her a bit. Now this is, keep this to yourself, don't let this one get out, but here is a classic trick for what to do if an illustration maybe isn't going as perfectly as you'd like it to go. Age up your character. Plus, it's always more fun if you're just doodling anyway. It's one thing I love to do when I'm just randomly drawing characters and people, is I actually like to draw older people. It's one thing I actually did pick up when I was at art college. I remember asking the life studies tutor that we had, is how come our life models are always old people? How can we never get any kind of attractive young models for drawing, life drawing? And he said back to me, it's much more interesting to draw wrinkles than just flat, perfect skin. And it's like, okay, yeah, no, that's a very reasonable answer. So a lot of the time when I'm drawing kind of just random portraits from imagination, now one thing I'll do is I'll always just add wrinkles and lines and hair, and especially pores to the nose and around the skin and everything like that. So at this point now, what you can see, I've zoomed out because I like to zoom out and see the whole thing, especially a bit further out like this. I could have it full screen, but I'm not, just so I can add in the darker shadow that I wanted to do. And now you can see that orange tan that I gave her actually works really well. So I wasn't in a complete nut job. But I've added shadow around her eyes and around the hairline and everywhere else, and now I'm just adding it into the background as well, because I have that one other trick that I've been thinking about, which is to give her more hair, because the hair that I gave her originally is actually looking a little bit limp. So I'm just going to add in more background colour, a bit of purple, which matches the purple in her hair. So I can do this, which is picking the orange out of her hair, and add that in. And you see how quickly that just adds loads more hair. And the great thing about that is it looks like the hair's in motion. Yeah, see? That was just like the rest of her hair just added in like super speed time. And that's just like a tiny quick concept art tip. Yeah? Now, that darkness around the face and everything has covered up a few of the simple mistakes that, weren't exactly perfect, but I can now live with if I just wanted to. But I can go back and tweak those as well. I'm just gonna finish up the hair here. And you can see like the difference between the earlier version there, which looked awful in comparison. But I can just grab more skin tone and just build this back up. Just so it doesn't look so cobbled together between the dark and the light shade. And again, it makes her, look a bit more complete. And I'm using the purples as well in there, so it brings the colour tone between her hair and her skin together, which overall will make the image work. But like I said, those aging lines as well, which I think just will make this image sing. And as I mentioned, about halfway through the image, I knew that I was gonna use a lighting effect to rescue this image. And doing the aging thing is what's really going to help with the lighting. You can't just light a flat surface. You need shapes in order to have something to light. So wrinkles are really good for lighting. So now that we've got the basic shapes, the basic wrinkles, we can just start adding some lighting. So the mouth is not too bad now, so we can go ahead and light it. What we'll do is, after we've done some lighting, we'll come back and add some more shadow. Yeah, see how that works. Yeah. So, yeah, you can see how even now, while I've just only added a tiny bit, you can see how, how well it works, even with this just tiny bit of it. And the great thing is, all you have to do is remember anything that has a surface facing downwards is illuminated. For most people, this isn't that complex. I think you either think in 3D or you don't. For some people, this would be really hard. For some people, it wouldn't be. What I'm doing now is I'm painting a darker layer as well, just above everything that's lit up, like the nose. So just going around adding a bit more light and a bit of red around the eyes as well. You see that pinkish around the eyes? That really helps. And also more definition in the pupils itself. I don't know why, but when you've got heavy lighting on the face, you've got to darken the pupils. if you go ahead and look at some lighting images, you'll really see that. And again, this isn't something I'm looking at now, it's just because I've done lighting studies in the past. So the green that I had in the eyes, I've decided to go for something a bit more aqua. And there you go. The light source on the eyes, that the little bright little dot that everybody puts in the eyes, I've done it right at the bottom of the eyes because the light's coming from the bottom. Obviously, that's a no-brainer. Don't worry about it. I did think about not adding that in, but I tried it. It works. I'm happy with it. So again, just adding that shadow, because if you add highlights, you have to add more shadows. Happy with that? All works. Did think about giving her some stubble, but I've done it too often with other illustrations. You know, old ladies with stubble. It's quite funny. If I was gonna spend more time on this, I would go in and give her lots of pores in her skin, maybe some scars, do a lot more work on the hair. I kind of like the fact that the hair's, you know, blurred. It makes it feel like a witch who's actually in the middle of casting a spell. Ooh, some nice runes actually cut into the skin might be nice, or reflected in her eyes. But yeah, actually I'd like to give her freckles. Because of the green eyes and red hair, freckles might be nice. I can almost kind of see them in the on her cheeks, especially with her eyes being so pink around the lids. I think she'd definitely have freckles. And her skin isn't so frail. You know, she has got that palish skin around the eyelids and the mouth. So yeah, I think she'd definitely have freckles there. Anyway, the focus of the lighting on the face has really helped rescue this. Yes, she does almost look like Lion-O from Thundercats. You can see it now, I've said it, can't you? I've enjoyed this. It really has come a long way since the beginning sketch. I like it. I hope you like it too. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Have I rescued this? Feel free to subscribe. I'd be very happy if you do. Remember, likes are free. And yeah, I'd love to see you here again for another video. I'll be putting up a lot more of these iPad video sketches as well in Procreate. There will be more to come. Remember, I'll be reviewing a lot more tech as well for my fellow digital artists like you. So, I'll just say ciao for now.